friends, have you ever wanted to travel journal along with me to see exactly how I create my spreads? Yeah? Okay, let's jump in and do it now. As usual, I am starting with my Wanderlust passport. I put these really cute stickers on the front, so I will link those in the description. But the beginning of the book always has these informational pages. Angie has put these together for the Wanderlust passport. If you are new to using it, they're really helpful. Here's a trip index. I usually add that in at the end after I have all of my page numbers. I list out everything in there. But the first page I'm using today is going to be this map, and I'm going to color in where I went, which was Florida. Typically, I do a lot of international trips in my journals, so I'm kind of excited to actually get to color in a state. And you can do colored pencil. I'm going to use this Tombow marker. I'm using this really light pink color. I don't want to do anything too dark to cover up the words, but I'm just going to kind of messily color this in. Not going to be too crazy neat about it. If I add more trips in here, like if I decide to go back or I visit it again, Disneyland, California, I'll obviously color California in because I think this is just going to be a Disney trip travel journal for me because we don't go there a ton, but we go there enough, like repeat times. And eventually I'll probably add my Disneyland Paris trip to this journal. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go back to the cover again. So I always love putting stickers on my cover. You can see that I have two here. I got them from a small business called Charmed and Cozy, and I will include the link in the description so you can check her out. But yeah, I added these two because I knew this was going to be a Disney trip journal. And now I will show you this first spread I started recording. I didn't love it, and I still need to finish it. Which I will finish. So then I went to this second spread. I actually like how this turned out, and this Cinderella Castle sketch I will include in this video. But then I decided, I think I want to start over a third time and start fresh with a spread and hopefully like this one a little bit better. I feel like every time I start a travel journal, the first page or two I don't love. So I'm grabbing my Fudenosuke pen and I'm going to get started writing the location here. So for this trip, it was Magic Kingdom, and I'll talk a little bit more about how we ended up going there for one day, but I got these colored Fudenosuke pens instead of the black, and I thought the pink one would be really cute for writing Magic Kingdom with. And then after I write this in, I take a Tombow brush pen in kind of a nice coordinating color, and I just fill in the prompt boxes like date. I highlight the day of the week, I highlight the weather we had, and then I'll go back and I'll write the temp in once I figure out what that was. All right, so we are starting here where you can see that I've already started this spread. And the reason you're not watching me do it is because I hated it. And so I'm covering it with this cute piece of scrapbook cardstock paper stuff. I've cut it down to size. I'm going to grab my double-sided tape and we are going to cover this up together because this is the reality of my travel journals. So often I will start creating a spread and I end up just not liking it. And this happens more often than you would think as I do these journals, which you will see here, not only right now, but in a little bit. And it just takes a little creativity to figure out how to turn it into a spread that I do like. So with the magic of cardstock that is very cute and double-sided tape, I have just covered this up, and now I can start fresh when I figure out what I'm going to do on this side, because this is a metallic, like a foil cardstock, so it's going to be a little difficult to write on. So I don't think I can really write on this one, so I have to figure that out. But for now, I'm going to start over here on the right-hand side and start writing. So I'm going to make a little header. Our first ride was Pirates, so I'm going to write Ride 1 because I'd like to start from the beginning. You know, a lot of when I journal, it's very much like making up as I go along. So I try to look back at my existing journals to get ideas for my layouts sometimes, or at least to get me started getting in the groove of it. Like I mentioned before, sometimes the first few pages of my travel journal are so not good. I have a hard time those first couple pages, I think I've mentioned this maybe in my first video. I have a hard time getting into the groove of it. And then after I get a few pages in, I get into a groove and I'm really happy with usually the whole rest of the travel journal. These first few pages are always difficult for me. So like, I've just written this header. I don't know if I like it. I drew the one a little too short. I don't know, we'll see. All right, so I'm going to take this little piece of cardboard that printed out or was pushed out of my printer when I printed the first photo from the pack. It kind of spits this paper out, and I keep it because it's the same size as the photos. I'm tracing the corners here with just like a chalk pencil that I can kind of cover up, and I'm just going to write pick right here because since I don't have this particular photo printed yet, or at least I don't know what I'm going to print for it, I want to fill in the writing. As you can see here, like I'm having the photo on the right and I'm going to write on the left, and I want to just make sure I leave enough room for the photo. So I keep that little thing and I use it as a template. So right now I'm going to start filling in some details about the ride that we took on Pirates. So I'm going to write that here on the left. And I just use one of the monoline pens I have, usually an 05. It feels like a good size for me, and it's hard to see because my hand is in the way, but I just usually will write a little blurb about something I want to remember about this particular topic. So keeping in mind the space I need for the photo, I'm just going to start filling this in. So this particular trip was actually just a day trip to Disney World. It was to the Magic Kingdom. My mom, my sister-in-law, and I had decided that this would be our Christmas gift. And so it was the end of January, and the three of us flew in together. We went right from the airport to the Magic Kingdom. We had already purchased our multi-pass. If you're not familiar, it's basically like the fast pass from back in the day. So we already had our first ride ready to go. So we went into the park. We bought our souvenir sweatshirts that we wanted. We put all of our luggage, not luggage, but like backpacks in our locker, and then we headed to our first ride, which was Pirates. And it was a hectic day, but like in a good way. It wasn't stressful. It was so much fun, and having the multi-pass for ourselves for this one day worked out really well, because all day long we just had rides booked and we basically walked right on. So yeah, we started with Pirates, one of our favorite rides, and we were so giddy, the three of us, just laughing. We had our mouse ears on and we had the best day. It was fun, and we've decided we kind of think this could be a little tradition. All right, so I've just made a little blurb really quick, and I use the Tombow pens to make these little dashed lines to separate out sections so that it's easier when I go back to read what I've written. I either write like a sentence or two or maybe three, and then I like using the dashed lines to split them up a little bit. So now I'm just going to use this Fudenosuke pen like I used to write Magic Kingdom. This is the black version instead of pink. And sometimes like to use these to write little statements that stand out. So I don't know if you've ridden Pirates of the Caribbean and Disney, but I love the smell of Pirates. And I mean pirates as in the ride pirates, the shorthand for the ride pirates, not actual pirates, which when you're reading this is now going to look like I love the smell of a pirate, as in like a pirate human. But no, the ride pirates, it's I don't even know how to describe the scent of the ride, but it's so nostalgic and I just love the smell. So I love the smell of Pirates. And now I'm adding more dashed lines here to split that up from my next section that I'm going to write. And I still don't know what that's going to be yet. That's kind of the nature of the way I travel journal. I'm making it up as I go. So all right, now I want to add some photos in here. So here's the template for the photo I'm going to put there. Don't know what it's going to be yet, but the next thing I'm going to get into is the next thing we did after Pirates. At this point, like we got on Pirates at like 11, almost 11:30 in the morning. And so at this point we were like, we'd been up since 3, we were hungry. We went to go get kind of like a lunch snack situation. And so here's my mom with her turkey leg. It's a classic Disney snack, and my mom loves the turkey leg. I feel like she gets one any Disney trip we go. So I just add this little header in for things that are sort of funny that I want to remember. I write LOL because I am a millennial. And I'm adding these diagonal lines to be in the background because when I write this, it's going to be in the black pen and the lines just add a little color to it. So I'm just going to write a blurb about how my mom had a turkey leg. So yeah, this was our little snack break, which was very much needed to fuel us because, like I said, this was just a marathon day in the Magic Kingdom. We wanted to do as much as possible with the one day that we had there. It seems like really fast, but by the time we got into the park, it was like 10:30, and the park was open until 11 at night. So we had over 12 hours to spend in the park, and we were pretty determined to spend that entire time there. We knew it was going to be a really exhausting day. And spoiler alert, it actually went a lot better than I thought. That mid-afternoon coffee really did help. And also just spacing out our rides. Like we made sure that when we were getting really tired, we tried not to have too many like slow downtime rides. We went on Tron. We like rode some things that gave us a little bit of an adrenaline boost. But yeah, anyway, that's a little further during the day. But right now we're at our lunch break, so I'm just gonna keep writing this blurb about how we stopped to get my mom the turkey leg, and me and Melissa had hot dogs. We sat here in Liberty Square and ate them, surrounded by some birds. And yeah, I'm just keeping this going so that you can see in real time how I'm journaling. And I'm hoping that it's helpful to see the process. So far, like this spread is okay, but I know that as I continue journaling this particular day trip that we had, each spread's going to get better. But, you know, it's kind of nice to show you the imperfection, I guess. Even people who travel journal often still have times where it doesn't come together quite as they want. I think the spread's coming together better now that I covered that left page, and I have to figure out what I'm going to do. It's probably going to be more photos, but yeah. I think I don't want to write anymore. I'm going to doodle here. So I'm going to try and draw a turkey leg as best I can. I think that looks like a turkey leg. Yeah. And then I'll draw a hot dog because Melissa and I each had hot dogs. Yeah, I feel like if I had more like memorabilia from the day or stickers or something, I may have put them here, but since I didn't, doodling's always good. And I'm just going to add a little color to these doodles. So I'm sticking with this. It's like a, not mustard yellow, but like a dark brownish goldish color. I'm going to use that pink from before for my hot dog because I don't like to incorporate too many colors. It gets a little chaotic. Alright, so now I want to add this photo into the spread, but first I like to take little strips of scrapbook paper or washi tape or something. I like to kind of put them behind where the photo goes just to add a little interest to the layout. So I'm going to dig through this bag I have here, or this envelope here, of scrapbook paper chunks and scraps that I've cut out and see if anything feels like it goes. Because, like I said, adding too many colors and too many patterns to a spread feels chaotic, so I like to keep it pretty cohesive. I think this spread in particular is not one of my favorites yet, but I think this one actually kind of has that goldish color to it, so that could work for something. So I'm going to see how that goes. I love all these other ones I have, but I mean, it's going to add a little too much. I almost need to like plan out which papers I want to use in a spread and just have them ready to go. So yeah, I pulled a few things. Let's see how they look. It's a trial and error too. Just kind of putting things behind, seeing if I like it. That's kind of all part of my process anyway. So I like the colors here. Let's see how that looks. Not bad, but I should have used a different marker. That's not enough color. This one, no, not the right blue. I think I'm going to move that one out of the way. I think that one could work. It's got a little that gold color to it. It's not like a darker metallic gold, but I kind of like it. So yeah, it's just I save all these little scraps and chunks, and then I see what looks best, and I kind of play around with the layout before I stick anything in, but I like that. So I'm gonna take the double-sided tape, I think, on that one. I'm pretty sure I decided. Yeah, I think it's gonna be the yellow one. It's hard to tell, like I want color in there, but I think this will work. So I'm gonna take double-sided tape and get this little yellow scrap put in the journal, and then the photos actually have adhesive on them already. So then once I get the piece of scrap paper in there, then I put the photo on top. Kind of holds it down better too. So I'm gonna do that in here. It's kind of hard to get it laid back out before I like officially stick it in. Try to remember how I had it. So there we go, there's that. All right, this is gonna look cute, so I'm gonna peel the adhesive off of this photo so I can stick it in. That's the benefit of the Canon Ivy printer. It uses this zinc paper. I love that it's got the adhesive on it already. So I'm just gonna stick this in here really well. All right, so now I've got to work on the one here at the top. But for now, I have this template here, but I have a chunk that I cut off of this scrapbook paper that I've already used. It's got a hole in it because I think it was like a tag. I think I'm going to position it in a way that looks like this, where the photo, once it's in there, will cover that hole. So I'm going to make sure that I check that positioning again, but I'm going to tape that in there so that it's ready to go once I get a photo printed off. I'm just going to slip it in behind there. I think that'll work. And then there's a little corner that's sticking off, which is going to have to get cut. But yeah, once I put the photo in, I'll do it right there. And there we go. So let's cut this little corner off. It's a little awkward to do this. But let me get that cut off of here. There we go. So once I have the photo, it's going to go right on top. So I don't think it's going to be this picture, but it's going to look something like that once I have a photo in there. So I need to cover that top section because I'm not ready to talk about the accommodation yet. This is still early in the day. I usually don't write the accommodation until like the end of a day that we're checking into a place. So for now, I cover that bar. That's the beauty of this. They were designed actually to fit within a piece of washi tape. I also sometimes use scrapbook paper and I just cut it in a nice rectangle. As you can see here, I had a chunk already cut. It's a little thicker than it needs to be, but it works just fine. And in fact, I could just cover where it says Ride One Pirates. I don't love what I did there, so yeah, a lot of trial and error here. This is what happens. So I'm going to add some color here. I jump all over the place when I do my travel journals too. It's like as soon as I think, oh yeah, I forgot I want to add some color here, I do that. So I think I might cover that because this piece of paper that I think I cut off of the one I used on the left is actually the right size, the exact size to cover that header that I don't love. So maybe I'll do that because I literally don't need it to say Ride One Pirates, right? Because I've written it in my sentence. So all right, I'm going to cover, I think these two will look good together. I'm going to use the washi tape to cover where it says accommodations because it's not time to talk about that yet. And this also just adds some color. The pink matches the pink where I wrote Magic Kingdom. I'm going to trim this off on the side. All right, and then the piece of cardstock, I have to double-sided tape that. Wow, I have to put double-sided tape on that. And I'm going to shove it right in behind that little yellow scrap paper. And I think that'll be better. I'd like to try to put something on top of this so it's not just two lines of, nothing up there. but I definitely like it better covering that header I wrote. I'm annoyed that I messed up. Why did I make the one so much smaller? But so yeah, this is what I mean about this process just not always being perfect. And even if I like the end look of a spread, it's kind of funny to go back and see this process here because I can see all the places that all the things I've covered up that in the end product you don't see. Like I throw a photo up here of any of my spreads. Over time I've forgotten that I used elements to cover something up, but you don't know that at all unless you watch me do it like you are right now. But this is why it's helpful, I think, for people to see it. That just came unstuck. I'm out of my good double-sided tape, and the one that I have left right now is awful. So that it does not stick very well. I have to go to the craft store and get some better tape. Let's do that. Okay. All right, so once I figure out the photo that goes there, that'll kind of hold it in better. I'm just going to turn the journal upside down so I can cut this off. There we go. All right, I think that looks better. I like that better than the header. I have to put something over it. I'm going to see what I've got. I have this little piece that I cut off, and instead of not using it, I'm going to see about using it. So I just keep using this castle photo as an example to see what, like I said, once I figure out which picture I'm putting there. But this is sort of like a placeholder for now, just so I can see what's going on. So yeah, I think I'll try and add that in there. It kind of brings the page together when you reuse the same scrapbook paper or washi tape or something. So let's add this in, use the photo again as a template to see where I want it, and just plop it in with the double-sided tape. All right. So yeah, I'll cover that up. Like I said, this tape is not good. You can see it's barely even holding the, the paper down. Once I get better tape, I'm going to retape those things in. But for now, okay, I do think this is actually coming together. I like the scrapbook paper in here. It's adding some color and kind of helps keep it interesting. Well, isn't it my lucky day? My camera ran out of space when I was recording this, so there goes my great idea of doing everything for you in real time, huh? So anyway, I'm just going to show you what I did. I cut out that piece at the top that says Magic Kingdom from the park map that I brought home. So this is why I always grab park maps. They can be really useful. And then on the left, I did go ahead and just add some photos that I took at the beginning of our day in the park. So castle photos of us and kind of the plaque that's at the beginning of the Magic Kingdom with a nice quote on it. And then I added some washi tape and the stickers that say yay on the bottom. And then I found a photo to represent pirates, which was the pirate shark in the gift shop. I thought he was funny. So anyway, this is the finished spread. I hope at least watching me do most of it in real time was helpful for you. So I'll do more of these later, so keep an eye on my channel, and thanks for watching. And now stick around if you want to watch me create Cinderella's castle in my travel journal. Okay, so I did have to speed this up a little bit because the actual recording of me doing this was over 20 minutes long. So the first thing I do is when I'm trying to draw anything is I pull up a reference photo. So this, I have my iPad here. I pulled up a reference photo of Cinderella's castle in the Magic Kingdom. And the first thing I'm doing is what I start with anytime is I try to break things down into shapes. So I am explaining it here, but now that I've sped it up, I'm doing a voiceover. You see me pointing. All I'm doing is creating squares and rectangles, and of course this arch shape here. So I'm just looking at the photo, and I'm saying, okay, how can I break this down into rectangles and squares? So I've started with the gray. I'm doing the base of the castle, and I'm just creating rectangles for each of these pillars. So you'll see that there is a rectangle and square kind of for paired up with each of them. Then the next thing I'm doing is taking the pink, and I'm trying my best to now go in and keep in mind that the blue has to be added, but creating all of these areas of pink. And the same thing, rectangles and squares, maybe some triangles in there. It's just repeating shapes. It's looking at the image saying, okay, in reference to the shape I just drew, where's the next one? So I'm kind of drawing the taller rectangles, triangles, and things here. But as you watch, it's literally lines, rectangles, triangles, squares. over and over again. And it's messy, it's sloppy, I'm not spending a lot of time making every shape perfect. I'm holding my pen kind of loose, like holding it a little bit back further and letting the brush just make the shapes. So here's the blue I'm going in, and now the blue is adding like the triangles at the top. And then just for my own effect, as I demonstrated, I'm just making the triangle a little bit more whimsical looking. And then, I mean, I don't know the terms for everything on a castle, but the little balcony roof thing, I literally just swiped the brush pen across the page. I didn't do much. So it's, again, just triangles and shapes. I'm trying to replicate everything that's, not everything, but I'm trying to replicate the shapes that I see to the best of my ability while doing it quickly. And something that can really help when you're doing sketches in a sketchbook is if maybe you want to practice things by doing it in some sort of other sketchbook first, set a timer, and that can really help you do these things much more fast and loose instead of focusing on details and perfection. That's a really helpful tip. So now I'm just using this kind of golden color marker to do all the gold details. So more triangles, I'm zooming in, and you can see like underneath each of those little balconies, there's gold detailing in there. And I'm just doing little hash marks. And then on all of the turrets, there's kind of like spires and spikes and things. I'm just drawing lines. It's really, really not very detailed. I'm putting enough detail in here for me to feel like I've grasped a lot of Cinderella's castle, but really I'm not going crazy with it, and I'm not looking for perfection. Look how crooked these lines are. Not everything's filled in all the way. That's kind of the beauty of this, especially in a sketchbook. So there's all those hash lines again. You don't need to go in with so much detail, just enough to really get the point across. Somebody's going to look at this, even without the additional detail I'm adding now, and still would know this was Cinderella's castle if they've ever been to Disney World. So, along the way I realized, okay, maybe I wanted some more pink there to fill in these little gaps. I'm leaving a little bit of white space in there too. I'm not making sure every single piece of white is filled in, and just adjusting as I go. And at a certain point, now that I've gotten the major bones of the castle down, I'm just sort of going in and filling in what I want to see, like where I think maybe I need a little color or detail. I'm focusing less on the actual image and just focusing on what my eye thinks I need to do to it. So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of little details in here, but I'm not doing them exactly as I see in the photo. I can't possibly do that with just these markers, So I could have left it like this. It actually looks just fine that way. I've removed my reference because at this point it's literally just going in and refining as I want it to look. So I'm taking a fine liner. This is probably the 01 or the 03, so it's a pretty fine point. And I'm adding in what is meant to look like stonework on the bottom of the castle, and just adding little lines of detail, like lines of separation, so you can just tell each. Gosh, I really wish I knew what these words were. Each like part of the base is separate, just kind of separates it. And then I'm on the roof, adding like little scallops, and then I'm adding tiny little windows, even in spaces that may not have even had windows. I'm not even looking at the reference image anymore. I'm just adding it to represent what I would like to see on here. And that's also kind of the fun. I'm never going to look at this next to an actual picture of Cinderella's castle again and be like, oh my gosh, I added this in here and that wasn't there. It's gonna exist in my memory like this now. I'm always going to assume that this is exactly how it looks like. I'm not gonna get mad at myself for doing something that varies from real life. So yeah, just little scallop marks. They're very messy, they're very loose, they're not even. It's almost like squiggles at a certain point. Just continuing to add windows that may or may not exist in the real castle, I don't know. And I think that they just add a little cuteness to it. I like it. Adding some grates here, even though I think you can walk right through that, but I felt like the grates looked castle-y. And yeah, I mean, that's about it. That's all I've done. So in reality, that took me 20 minutes because I was explaining it on camera. Um, I think without me having explained it at the time, I could have done it faster. But now I'm just writing in the name, which is actually, I believe, called Cinderella Castle, not Cinderella's, for whatever reason. I was trying to find it on the map to prove that, but there we go. And then I'm just going to add little like pixie dust around the page. So there it is. I mean, it's very fast, and I'll probably do other tutorials later, but really, you can draw something complicated as Cinderella Castle, by just breaking it down into shapes, simple shapes, and making yourself go fast. So I hope that was helpful. I'll do more of these later, but again, thanks for watching.